Then listen closely. Everything is curable. We're in a new era, remembering what the earth has been whispering, shifting from conventional medicine's quick fixes beyond prescriptions. This is our journey back to the intelligence of the body. Welcome to Beyond the White Coat. Welcome to Beyond the White Coat. I'm Gaya Stepanian, your host, and this show is for truth seekers. This show is to really understand the human body beyond what we've been told through conventional medicine, and to learn about our body's extraordinary ability to heal from the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual areas. Today, we have a very special guest joining us from London. We have Daniel Kobryner. He is a high-energy mental fitness coach and an international speaker who helps high achievers break free from inner patterns holding them back. After 35 years of global business success, Daniel hit the wall that many never admit. Living life with success, but without fulfillment. And that certainly does resonate for me as well, at some point. So his transformation became his mission. And today he guides leaders to reconnect with purpose, confidence, and clarity to redesign their lives from the inside out. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Gaya, and thank you so much for having me on your show, and thank you for this beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Well, it's really inspiring what you're doing, right? Because having had experienced that that moment of truth, shall we say, right? And having seen so many people over the years have that confrontation with life where you know that you are here for something better and greater and you just don't know what that is, and that you found it and that you're helping other people find it too. So share with us a little bit more about how that occurred. How did that moment of truth happen for you? And yeah, I'd love to hear your story.
Well, thank you. And see, for 35 years, I had an international career in international sales, business development. I ran some companies, and I have to say, I really enjoyed, working with my customers and developing this friendship, and this relationship. But something was missing. Sometimes I felt a little disconnected. For instance, with the companies I was working for, what's the purpose? And during the pandemic, I was locked down here in London, like most of us were, and I happened to listen to some very inspiring people online. There were life coaches, business coaches, healers as well. And I realized that actually listening to these coaches, I realized that without knowing this, I had coached people all my life. What has always been my passion is really helping people to get the best out of themselves, for them, not for us, right? It means it's helping people thrive, helping people really do something which excites them, which motivates them, bringing joy out of people. And then I thought, wow, there's even a job doing that. And actually, this became my life purpose. It's about helping people living the best possible life, which I think resonates very much with what you are doing, Guy.
It was funny because I think I was maybe 3 or 4 years old when my parents had an argument, and I wake up in the morning to my father praising me and saying, "You saved my marriage." And I had no idea what he was talking about. And he was basically saying that somewhere in the middle of the night, as they were arguing, and I was fast asleep, in my sleep, I yelled out and I said, "Enough." And so that was me in some way intervening in their argument. And he said to me, he's like, "Oh, you saved my marriage. Your mother was going to leave me." And he he implanted in me that day this notion that I could make a difference in someone's life. And I was a child, a baby, really. But that stayed with me forever. And so that was that first moment in which I, processed this sense that I'm here to help and I can help, even though I had no idea how that actually happened or no recollection of how that happened. And so it became my compass later on in life, those later aha moments. So.
Well, you see, exactly. And you see what changed as well is that once you really, when you spend time with yourself, this is very important. Just instead of just being focused on everything outside, like take time with yourself and really try to think what's important for you. Is what you are doing resonate with who you really are? What are your values? What do you really love doing? Or what were your passions when you were a child? Sometimes it's about this, it's about, oh, perhaps we loved drawing, dancing, singing, but for whatever reason, we didn't have the possibility to go on because our parents, our environment guided us for a certain career, certain job, and we are good kids. So of course we want to please our parents and we do that. But sometimes we realize that we live a life which is not ours. And this is really where now, I mean, I changed my life a lot and I help people doing the same because everyone here is on this planet for a mission. Really, and it's to give the best out of themselves for others and to thrive. And when you realize that, you become unstoppable.
That is beautiful. Now that you've found this purpose, what have you done with it? Share with us, please.
Right. You see, because I said I underwent a lot of changes. I mean, first of all, you see, something I didn't know, Gaia, is that we are programmed from a very young age. Actually, the majority of our thoughts, perhaps people say 95% of our thoughts, they come on autopilot from our subconscious mind, which is directly linked to our upbringing, to some emotions we lived in the past. And I'm going to go further because I kind of went on a spiritual journey as well. It comes as well from our lineage, from our ancestors, from our DNA. And you see, now I'm a mental fitness coach. What does it mean? I help people understand what's holding them back from living the best life they can, but in which manner. It's really understanding the saboteurs. These are these programs running on autopilot. For instance, judging. Oh, we judge ourselves. I've not done good. Or we judge others. Oh, look how bad he is. Or we judge circumstances. Or we are perfectionists, which was my case before, I have to say. Or we are people pleasers, want to please everybody. Or we are controllers. All of this, when we say we are, actually doesn't define us. These are programs. So, and these programs, they are based on some strengths which we use in our very young age to survive, to protect ourselves. But afterwards, we go on using them and they're not serving us because, for instance, as a people pleaser, which we please others, we always say yes, but it's not just out of pure kindness, it's because we expect something in return subconsciously. We expect others to accept us, to love us, perhaps. This is not always happening. So I help people understanding these saboteurs, keeping the positive out of that, but helping them to go into into clarity, into confidence, into living the life they live.
It's you hit the nail, right? Because I see that too. I see how much of where we are at any given moment is not necessarily related to us being in the present or living in the present, but that we're living through our past. We're living through our ancestral programming, our ancestral karma. Many times things happen and we don't even realize that it's not even our own baggage. It could be our parents, it could be our grandparents, it could be from other people behind us, and we're repeating cycles within that. And so living life without purpose is part of that cycle.
Absolutely. And something I'd like to add to this, what changed a lot in me, and it started during the pandemics, that some of the people I listened to were quite spiritual, but I was very down to earth. I came, my father was an engineer, so basically I had no even I don't have a religious education, but when I heard people saying, "Oh, the universe is our back," and it was about people having faith and all that, and this was new to me, I have to say, but for whatever reason, it kind of resonated with me, and I started taking it on board. And you see, a big change I really want to share with everybody listening is that, see, I used to be very much in my head, very rational. I'm Virgo, so apparently Virgos are very rational, down to earth. I didn't even know about the science, really, to do how I was. But now, you see, instead of being in my head, I really follow my intuition, because the intuition for me is the most important thing. It's really, I even kind of call it God within ourselves. I mean, it's every cell of our body which guides us to really the direction which is meant for us. And actually, for me, intuition never fails us. Sometimes we don't listen, we make mistakes, but if we are really honest with ourselves, we knew even before doing something that something wouldn't possibly go right. So if we follow our heart, if we follow our intuition, if we follow our guts as well, different parts, but it's very much linked. And when we let go, when we really just embrace lives, and you see, life should be easy, shouldn't be complicated. But in order for it to be easy, we have to be aligned with ourselves. We have to be completely, following who we are.
You're speaking my language, Daniel.
Well, you and me met on another occasion, and I think we resonate very much with each other, Gaya.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, because one of the things that I love to teach people is how you can actually see your intuition in action. Because learning to connect with our intuition and learning to listen to our intuition takes practice. It's not, because all the programming interferes, right? All that mental noise interferes, all the rationalization, as you described it, interferes with being able to really tune in. The difference is that when you do tune in and you make decisions based on your intuition or your gut feeling or your God feeling, right? Your God voice, as you said it so beautifully. Once you make that decision, you have peace. Once you make that decision, you feel aligned. There's not the more noise, it's the less noise, right? It's like the knowingness that you've made the right decision, versus making decisions based on fear. Oh, but if I don't make this decision, what if this and what if that and what if that? I had a decision to make a few days ago, and it was a costly decision, right? And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, is this the right time to make this kind of expense? Should I really do this? And I was feeling so anxious about whether I should decide or not decide, but my fear was keeping me from deciding. And then I said to myself, you know what? I have to trust this is taking a leap of faith, that this is the right moment for this. And as soon as I took the action, I had calm, complete and utter calm and peace. All the anxiety disappeared, all the worry disappeared. And then these wonderful synchronicities start to show up to show me you made the right decision.
And you see, Gaya, this is beautiful. And again, this resonates very much with me because you see, as a perfectionist, I used to weigh all the pros and cons and to think about all the possibilities. And as we know now, the brain, particularly the oldest part of our brain, is there to protect us. You know, the reptilian part of the brain. So it's and it imagines things which is never are never going to happen. So once I remember, I decided consciously to say, Daniel, stop worrying. Okay, imagine this thing can happen. This is it. Okay, you know, but then you are going to, you know, to put it on the side. And when I did it, you know, the results were fantastic. And to what you just said now, you know, one of the biggest advice I would give to anybody really just in doubts about taking an action, exactly as Gaia said, if you have like 80%, right, say, okay, you've got, you know, just go in the flow, follow your instinct, and you will see that already by taking action, this will remove the worries. This will give you this calmness you just talked about. And actually, very good things are going to happen because you are in alignment. So you see, before I used to think, oh, I need to have all the facts and the figures and everything to take action. And this led to procrastination. Now, no. I'm taking action. Actually, I've never taken as many leaps of faith in my life as in the recent years, I can tell you. But by doing this, my life has become so much, and you say, so much calmer. And even I experienced really miracles in my life. And this is really the thing is that, where, again, I didn't even believe in this world, but now, you know, you talk about synchronicities. When you really put your focus on what you really want from the deepest part of yourself, trust your instinct, trust the process, and the good will happen to you.
You know, it reminds me of when I left my career, 30-year career, you know, and when I was in college, I thought to myself, one day I'm going to run an organization, you know, a large nonprofit, and I'm going to make a big difference, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And here I was, CEO of this statewide organization with, you know, throughout the state of Florida, managing, you know, almost $100 million with, you know, over 2,000 employees. And all I could think about doing was going home and being able to do biomagnetism or my treatments with clients, because it was so fulfilling to be able to see that there was a direct impact in someone's life. And even though there was an impact within the organization, there were a lot of things that I didn't, you know, I thought to myself, is this really why I'm here? Is this really fulfilling to me? And it was so much bureaucracy and so much, it wasn't fulfilling. There were aspects of it that were, but nothing compared to being able to help people in a therapeutic setting or sharing the knowledge with other people. And so one day, as I'm driving home, walking away from this 30-year career, I just kind of surrendered it to God. And I said, okay, this is your work. I believe that this is your work. Just make sure my kids' expenses are covered, my mortgage is covered, and I'm not looking back, you know? And it has been a path and a journey of blessings upon blessings upon blessings. And every day I get to experience that sense of fulfillment. Every day I get to experience that sense of blessing. And as you mentioned, these synchronicities just start to appear. The more aligned I am with my intention and my purpose and my work, the more blessings show up in my life. And we all deserve to live life like this. We all deserve to live life from a place of fulfillment and soul alignment. How do you help people? How do you help people do this, Daniel?
Right.
What about your programs and your work?
So, for instance, okay, I said this program, which is around so-called positive intelligence, right? So I really help people, first of all, you know, they take a saboteur assessment, right? And this is on my website, it's danielkobryner.com. And it's free. And just with this, they answer a few questions. It takes less than 5 minutes. And then they receive automatically a kind of report where these 9 saboteurs, and they are explicit on this website as well, what they are. And people, there's a ranking between like 1 and 9, right? About where you are. And afterwards, if people want to know more, what happens is that they come to me and I book a free session, and then we have a debrief. And they pick one of these saboteurs, could be, for instance, people pleaser. A lot of people have them. And I kind of outline what can be the consequences, for your well-being, for your performance, for your relationships. And all of us, it's really like an aha moment. People say, oh yes, now I understand. So first, it's really about awareness. So what I do first is people being aware. And it's fine if they just have, one session, it's absolutely fine. But at least they become aware. Some people want to say, oh, I'd like to know more about that. And then they enroll into a program. But the idea is that awareness, and then how do we, look after this? How do we rewire our subconscious mind, for instance? First, he said about grounding ourselves. There's an app, and it's called PQ reps. So basically you do reps like, you could do like rubbing your fingers, or it's breathing, or it could be mental. The only idea is that when you have a negative thought, okay, it's there, but acknowledge it. And then what do you do about that? So you do one of these exercises, and there's a set on the app, 30 seconds, 1 minute. And all of a sudden afterwards, you know what, you breathe, you stop, you let go. And very important, when we have an emotion, we cannot suppress it. It's not like it's not there. Yeah, we acknowledge it. Sometimes we cry, sometimes we... And afterwards, it's like we ground ourselves. So one of the biggest principles is living in the present moment, being now who we are. So it could be helping people about like doing meditation, for instance, or journaling. When you journal your thoughts, whatever thoughts you have, you write them down. It could be in the morning, can be in the evening. And afterwards, you go through them, and you see the passion goes off, and you realize that already by expressing yourself, speaking it out, writing it down, already this is part of the healing, right? So, and different kind of exercises, to do. But what's the idea is that on the right part of our brain, this is where we have creativity. This is where, but this part is not developed. So when we talk about mental fitness, it's about like going to the gym, but instead of training your physical muscles, you train your brain muscles. And the more you do that, the more you repeat, actions, and you take the
You're
first steps.
creating and offering tools so that people could really rewire their programming and become fully independent and capable of replacing the old programming with new programming.
Exactly right. It's about changing this. And I have to say that I really enjoy working with people who have as well some kind of spiritual inclinations. Why? Because in terms of what you are doing, Gaya, with your work, another part which is so much important for me is about understanding that our body is talking to us the whole time. So something I embrace is listen to your body, because for me it's like obvious that our conditions, the physical conditions we have, are linked to emotions.
That the emotion, being able to then connect with not just the words, but the emotion behind the words, as you were describing, that's the telling part, right? And when you acknowledge the emotion, that's when you can really begin to transform. Because many times I see in my work, people aren't even aware that they're holding on to anger or rage or sadness. And once they're able to acknowledge that, yes, they still have sadness. Yes, they're still grieving a loss. Yes, they're still angry, even though we want to believe that we're not capable of holding on to grudges and still be angry or have hate or these very strong emotions that we all have the capacity to experience. But it's when you acknowledge them that then you become capable of releasing them. and that's part of the work that you're doing is bringing it into their awareness through their words, through the emotion, and then through the release and new practice and rewiring. It's wonderful work, Daniel. How can people reach you? How can people reach you?
Well, they can reach me. So there's my website, which is danielkobryner.com. Surround yourself with the right people who are going to uplift you, who are going to listen to you, who are going to be there for you. And when you do that, you will become unstoppable.